Once the dead man is revived, we can ask him 5 questions, at which point he will die again, never to be re-revived.
Were you killed in the Battle of the Everhorse?
Yes.
4 more questions, right?
Yes.
No, that wasn't for you. Did that count as a question?
Yes.
Damn it. Only answer when I talk to you, okay?
Yes.
Why did you say okay at the end of that?
I didn't.
Fantastic. Where's the shovel?
Hey guys, welcome back to the Bad Potatoes Podcast. I'm Travis. We got Roy, Michael, and then we have David and Nick Wine from the Together We Roll YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks guys for having us. And by the way, that's
thank you for
Together We Roll ROLE, like to role playing, which is about Dungeons and Dragons role playing. Together We Roll ROLE, and I guess that's one of the movies we're talking about today, right?
Yeah, it's the movie of the week. It's Dungeons and Dragons.
Not the old one, the new one.
Oh yeah, thank goodness we're not talking about the 2000. Actually, you could talk about 2000 because there's a lot to roast about the 2000 film.
As long as you have a couple beers first,
But-
then watch it, then you're okay.
Yeah, that's true. That actually is a fun film to watch when you're not when you're drinking. But
When you're not trying to have fun.
but the latest film, Dungeons and Dragons. Let's see, is it 2023? Right? So yeah,
it came out this year.
2023.
Yeah, ever
Chris
since
Pine.
COVID, y'all figure out what's going on. Yeah, with Chris Pine and everything. So yeah, so different, and thank goodness, such a wonderful film. It was so enjoyable to watch, whether you know D&D or not. So yeah, that's thanks for having us here, Bad Potatoes, and
Yeah, we actually were sponsored by the Renaissance Fair for the month of June, and we met you there. We interviewed you on our TikTok, and
yeah,
that's how we got linked up.
coolness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Really
thank
glad
you
to be here.
guys for coming on to our podcast. This is
Great.
Our pleasure.
Oh, our pleasure.
And then
Thank you for the invite.
we'll have all you guys' information in the YouTube show notes and the Spotify show notes and everything. So
Yeah,
people
all the
can-
links
Cool.
and stuff.
People can just click on them and know how to spell roll right. And
Which
Yeah.
I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one catch is that I noticed when you were typing Together We Roll, again, no spaces at YouTube, just Together We Roll. YouTube will throw in that second L. The moment you type the first L, it throws in a second L because apparently that's how humans talk. But you throw in a ROLE, and then you'll find us, because if you go ROLL, you're going to find some cute kids, and they're going to be rolling dice, playing board games, and you're going to go, what the heck, Bad Potatoes? So,
Too. They deserve it. It's a fun little
but,
family thing that they're doing, and
yeah,
I hope they do it well.
whether you like D&D or not, if you don't like, or I should say, if you've never experienced D&D, you want to see some amazing production stuff that we do for Dungeons and Dragons while we're playing campaign, please take a look. If you love it, please take a look. Say hello. Look at our all our
At least
playlists
take a
and
look
everything.
at the table. At least take a look at the table.
Oh,
It
the
is
table's sick.
good.
yeah,
Sorry, I'll laugh.
3D modeling, lighting, sound, music. Incredible DM here in a red shirt is our incredible DM Nick. He is so talented, and 6 cameras, 5 microphones. It just goes on and on. We do everything we can to help tell our story in a cool and amazing way online. So we hope you go out and see us, take a look, and we hope you enjoy. Comment, like, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And let's get on to
smash that subscribe button.
All right, so we're watching Dungeons and Dragons. We all watched it.
Yes. I watched
This
it
is my
multiple
first time
times.
watching it.
A couple times.
Yeah.
I watched
It
it in
was a good
theaters, and
movie.
I watched it 2 times this week. I watched it just before we got on, actually.
All right, so
I didn't realize it released. I saw it in theaters, so I haven't watched it again. So I need to watch it again.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
looking
I'm going to
forward
do it this
watching
weekend,
again.
actually.
Oh, and I'm going to be traveling, so I guess I'll have to catch it with you later for a third time. So, yeah, it's just a fun romp. It was just enjoyable as heck to watch, and also when we were watching it, how many, being a Dungeons and Dragons player, I was able to go, okay, what was that spell? What would I call that spell that he just did? And it was like, I was really really getting hooked into a lot of the stuff that a part of the lore and things. I guess there's a lot of it too that was referencing the dragon, not, is it Dragonlance world? Which world is it? Oh gosh, I'm gonna lose some nerd points here.
It's already
but
going down.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
with where they were referencing Neverwinter
Oh, Baldur's
um,
Gate.
and Baldur's Gate, and also they referenced briefly Waterdeep.
Waterdeep.
Yeah. So
And I
that
think
one
there
was.
was like three more. I'm actually gonna have to go into like a deep dive, like how many places did they list off, and or like background prop stuff. Like there was a couple of times where they were in like in a vault or something like that, or just background mayor stuff. That was like that has to be connected to something, just like low key.
I'm sure
Kind
there's
of
a lot.
stuff.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of Easter eggs in there that
Oh
none of
yeah.
us caught. Yeah.
So like all the castle work, I looked up, and apparently that's all sets from Harry Potter.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, they use a lot of the
Recycled?
same hallways. Yep. And
That's smart.
Okay.
the paladin Renee Page, whatever his last name is, he was in Harry Potter.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, he was
I didn't
Dean
know
Thomas.
that.
He was Dean Thomas.
Mhm.
Wow.
Huh.
Underrated
Oh.
wizard.
Michael and Travis here are big Harry Potter fans.
Yes.
Good.
Right there.
Then I don't feel bad for missing it
And
because
then-
I know Harry Potter. I love the current Hogwarts game, but I've never deep dived into Harry Potter kind of situation.
Oh, I
and I
do.
thought I was like,
reread the
ah
books
man, I
every
messed
year.
up.
Yeah, he does. He reads them every year. So does my brother. They had to like read every year. Just what? How many books? 7 books.
What do you
books.
drink?
7 books, 8 movies.
Yeah, 8 movies.
So-
yeah, there's
So I'm trying to remember how the. Oh, that's right. I was trying to remember how the movie opened up.
Oh yeah.
I pulled
this
up
movie.
Wikipedia,
The
so-
Oh,
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
You
so
can
I
take
can
the
get
reins.
the names and stuff of the towns.
Oh, okay.
All right, open us up.
Oh, and I
he
completely
lost
made a
it.
liar myself. That's not what I was looking for. But anyways,
Just
so
porn.
yeah, it was my Pornhub was up.
Oh my gosh.
that kind of podcast, eh?
No,
Yeah. Let's talk about our 5-6 cameras in our feet cam underneath the table, our Dungeons and Dragons table. So yeah, Hobbit cam. Don't go look it up. There's probably a freaking
Don't-
Hobbit
That's
No.
probably real.
Not safe for
That's
work.
real.
Especially if you
not-
do bad dragon stuff. Like, don't do that. Not safe. Don't go there.
anyways, and so the movie opens up on a snowy plain, right? Shows I think he was an ogre or an orc, possibly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Getting-
I'd say orc.
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure it was an orc.
He gets taken to prison, which I'm trying to find the fucking name of the prison, but I'm super
Something
slow.
on ice cast, like ice cap is just moving. It's like a tower.
Keep talking.
But
Right.
Wait,
He gets-
who was the orc? I don't
The
remember.
It-
He's the guy that tries to sexually abuse Holga. At the very beginning, he's
yeah,
like,
and then she breaks both of his knees.
Yep.
Yeah. and then
While chewing a
he's
potato,
in the,
yeah.
the jail.
the prison. They're in
Oh,
prison.
okay.
It was
Prison.
it was the intro to bring us into showing who they're really interested in, which is the bard inside
Yes.
the prison.
Now
Edgin
I
the Bard and
remember.
Holga the Barbarian.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they're plotting on how to escape from. Dude, I saw this earlier and I'm so pissed I can't find
Oh,
it.
whatever. It
Just
doesn't
come
matter.
back. Yeah, it don't matter that much.
It's a real
Put it
place.
in the
I wanted
comments
to say.
below.
Remember, when you first think about it, when you're about to fall asleep, just wake up screaming the name.
Yep.
Your neighbor's
Yeah,
gonna
right.
love it.
I did that
So
one
that-
time. Sorry to go off a little bit, but I watched a movie and I thought about that movie for like 12 years, and then just one day it clicked, and yeah, I felt.
Do you remember what movie
Dude,
it
that
was?
was crazy. Yeah, it was a I don't remember. It was a movie with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood when he tries to kill him.
Oh,
Oh,
Good
stepson. Good
Good
son.
son.
you're welcome. You should have just asked me, but
I yeah.
I had the
So-
same thing with the movie Cool World.
I've never seen Cool World.
It's weird, but anyway, sorry.
Was that Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
But so it opens up with them in prison, plotting their escape. Well, it doesn't show they're plotting their escape. It shows they're going in for trial to be released. But the Bard had a plan, which
Because he didn't expect that he'd actually be released.
Yeah.
With a lovely recap of how he lost his wife and how he ended up in this prisons because of the Red Wizards and all that, and his. Sorry, go ahead.
And he really needs Jonathan, this giant bird, to be there for part of his plan because
Jonathan's just not showing up.
Which. Go ahead.
I loved how they were telling a character backstory without shoving it in your face that I'm telling a backstory. I was like, this is a character backstory that I'm usually at the beginning of a campaign that you're telling your DM, not your players. That's the cool part. You don't tell your players your backstory typically, because then they get to learn your character's backstory when you're playing your characters together in the game, right? And so, actually, when we're doing our campaign, our DM knows almost everything about all of us, but doesn't know. But our characters, they're like, when we level up and someone gets a new feat or ability, we don't tell the rest of the cast what we got. We get to express it real time during the game, and they all go, oh, "What the heck happened?" And actually, an hour ago, we just issued a funny moment, so it actually posted only Friday nights. Typically at 6 o'clock, we post funny moment about a character. So go take a look at that. It's called
all on YouTube,
Little Bunny Foo Foo.
But the way the movie introduced like the backstory of a character, which is like, since it's a Dungeons and Dragons thing, you're gonna have a backstory. That's like the number one what everyone understands. It's like you have to give your backstory or at least explain it to someone, and he's doing it and not really doing it because he's like not telling all the truths to his prison council that is going to potentially possibly not release him from prison. Which is why he wanted all the council members there. It was just like I liked the meta joke of like the backstory, but also giving the reason why you're in prison kind of situation while the actual game is already started.
His charisma must be really high.
Oh yeah,
they let him go. They like pardoned him basically.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He's like, but you're pardoned as you literally go out the window, and you broke out of prison. Now you're back in prison. Congratulations.
That
was a wanted man.
Yeah.
So I was reading the thing too, which you guys might know this. Well, you probably do know this. So, like, in that beginning scene, they were trying to like play on your guys' knowledge because that bird character,
the Aarakocra.
Yeah,
that's the race. That's the race that
they're very sympathetic and they don't like people being confined. And so that's what they were trying to imply, that he's trying to have him there so that he can say no, let him free. But then it's a joke to where he just wants to use his wings to get out.
Use him as a pillow.
Yeah,
parachute.
As a parachute.
It was a pretty good plan though, because those birds are insane. Like a golden eagle, but he's a crow. But even then, a golden eagle could carry a goat off of a full-grown goat. And that,
are you talking about just a normal eagle, or are you talking about the harpy eagles?
No, I'm talking about the normal golden eagle, the real life ones. They could pick up full goats, like full-size goats, and throw them off ledges. So like imagine something with the wingspan of a human-sized bird.
Actually, that exists. They're called harpy eagles. They're a real thing in our.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is weird to see them in pictures with like full-grown humans. It is literally just like, well, there's a giant eagle.
Yeah, they're huge.
Don't let your kids outside, folks.
We'll pick up your dogs too.
Yeah, they'll pick up you.
Yeah, but it was a good idea. I mean, he has him and Holga. I keep wanting to say Helga. It drives me crazy.
Me too.
But Holga, the barbarian, and Chris Pine. I forget his real name. The bard.
Travis said it.
Yeah, Chris Pine is but we all know him as Chris Pine. He was
we all
playing
know him
kind of himself.
We know him as the ugliest Chris.
He looks exactly like the main puppet from Team America.
Yeah, he does.
He looks exactly like it. It's so weird. It's driving me crazy. Yeah, they get out of this prison. They fly off on this giant crow.
Well, they don't fly off. They kind of just fall straight down slowly.
Yeah, but
slowly, fastly glide.
hey, man, it was. I mean, they could have just committed suicide, and that would have been the end of the movie.
It's like, well, that was D&D, boys.
Yeah. The
That
end.
was a bad roll or whatever. And
Yeah. That's
Rolled a
how it
one.
goes sometimes. Yeah.
Let's restart.
Restart.
Oh, if they did
That
that,
would have been
that
pretty
would
funny.
be bold. I would be so for that.
If it failed, they died and had to restart. And it was like, or if it was a different actor than Chris Pine, like his own character,
It's Chris Hemsworth.
Actually, now that I think,
that would have been funny.
yeah. Actually, I think someone else did that first. I think technically Vox Machina did it. I don't know if it was like the advertisement or something like that. Their animated series of Critical Role. They showed a advertisement of introducing these radical superhero-looking individuals that just get decimated. We're talking about blood works everywhere, and then it goes to the actual main characters of the video.
Oh yeah.
So I think so. I think someone else already did that
Oh.
in terms of a D&D show, which is awesome. That it's this D&D movie is not the only D&D content nowadays without the kind of movie from back in the before my time.
2000 film of doesn't it? Jeremy Irons.
I think it was in the 19.
It's about time to die. Oh, sorry.
I need to retouch on that movie because it's been years since I was a little kid.
I've never seen it actually.
I've
I was
never
gonna
seen
watch
it,
it,
but
but-
it is legendary
Oh, yeah.
enough, and it's how bad it is that it became somewhat good at the same
I might
time.
like it.
Grab a good drink,
Mhm.
grab some friends, and then roast the heck out of it as you watch it.
I might enjoy it then because people shit on the Dragon Ball movie,
Oh, yep.
and I fucking
And
love that.
he
Movie.
loved it.
I thought it was great.
I
That's
don't
why
know.
we have Travis on this podcast because we need somebody with awful taste.
They got great taste.
But yeah, they introduced the bard, they introduced the
Barbarian.
and then you get to meet the rest of the team, which is I'm sorry, you guys.
What was-
this is more of
I
your-
think he was a sorcerer, not a wizard.
He was the
right?
sorcerer. He was
Simon.
specifically a terrible sorcerer, by his opinion.
Mhm.
which I think is bullshit.
Oh, it's all about self-confidence. It's like, even if you're a high-level sorcerer, it doesn't matter how level you are. If you have a self-confidence issue, that affects your powers. If you have a coming to who am I? My one thing about life is no longer my one thing. Next, you're like all these magics you could have done that could decimate armies just kind of.
Actually, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all you.
Hey, I just remembered something from the film that I thought was awesome. Like the canon concept of when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and you're a spellcaster, and you're casting something that requires concentration, and then you have to, and if you take damage or something else happens and you lose concentration, then the spell effect can fail. And so there was that one time when there was a couple times where he had it fail, but the one that was most notable for me was when he had the greater illusion spell, as I would call it, of the bard
Oh, yes.
coming in, and then he gets his foot caught, and then he's losing concentration, and the spell's going wrong. And I was laughing so hard, not only because it was funny to look at, but because I totally got the reason why it was happening. It was like he's losing concentration on his spell.
Yeah.
So
It brought in the brilliant prospect of just because you lose concentration doesn't mean it disperse immediately.
yeah,
It's like if
This
you
is-
fail by one, it's
This-
kind of still active, just not in the way you want.
Oh yeah.
this is what.
For context of people who are listening and have never played D&D, it's all games of chance and right. You could explain it too if you like. If you have.
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's when you want to do something, the DM said you can either use an ability that you have, and if it's let's say you're casting magic to hit someone with a magical bolt of energy, it's like, all right, most abilities require you to roll a d20 to see if you hit, and you have modifiers and everything, but this d20 is meant to represent chance, fate, and different circumstances that a situation is chaotic, and sometimes, even though you're a very skilled individual, you might not be able to do it because everyone else is trying to prevent you or help you at the same time. And sometimes fate has other plans for you.
Yeah.
And then you get into the gods and everything and yada yada yada. But that D20 is meant to show your fate.
And this
And
is where
it's all over the place all the time. So that's why DMs are always, or Dungeons and Dragons is so chaotic a lot of the times.
this is where brilliant storytellers can and DMs can make the story so colorful and rich. Is like when you fail, as an example, you could have the spell just disperse, and it's okay, but no, to have it actually slowly fail, those are things that the DM can elaborate on, and so that's the beauty of the game. Is it's not confined to I move 3 spaces and I read the card.
It's
Dungeons and
imagination.
Dragons is much more than that. Yeah.
It has rules, but it also has the rule of cool,
We
which
had,
allows so many things to happen.
we had played one time, Michael and I, with
Yeah.
a friend, and that was fun because like the first thing we opened up with was our characters, and our we did it at the very end. It was penis size.
Yeah, we rolled for
Of course.
penis size.
Generally,
That is a real thing, and it
And you're
actually
using
came
it for-
from.
I had a giant barbarian that I put all of my strength in, and I had no intelligence.
Yeah, he had
And-
one intelligence, and
Oh,
it screwed us
God.
over.
Oh,
And
how
I
are you
had,
alive?
I had a roll for my penis size, and I rolled a 2 on a 20-side die, and I thought I'd roll again, and I rolled a 1.
Yeah,
Nature did not like you.
but he caused us to die because like we were all injured, and he was trying to make us medicine. We're like telling him what plants we needed or whatever to make a potion to like get one of us healed, and he just comes back with like roots from a tree stump. And he's like, I got roots. And yeah, we died because because we were fighting a guy that was too strong for us,
Oh,
and nobody could take a hit from him or kill him besides Roy, but he was just too stupid to help us, so
Yeah.
we died and he just wandered the woods.
that's the due to story. I love it.
It was good. I just talk in grunts. And,
well,
Yeah,
so back to the story of this story of Dungeons and Dragons, the film. So Holga and I forget the hero's name again.
Edgin.
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 Yeah. So they get out of the prison and then they go.
They go to Neverwinter, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
They tried to
That's
reunite with their family, and actually every single one found
With-
out that either they're not there, they're captured, or they've moved on.
Yeah, because the part of their crew also was Hugh Grant's character, and I can't remember his name.
The rogue that turned mayor.
yes.
Yeah.
That one is his character name is Forge.
Forge.
It's a cool name.
Yeah.
Is William, I believe, is how you say his last name.
It's William. Yeah.
Forge
Yes.
William.
Yeah, and I always wondered what class of character he was. I mean, certainly he had it wasn't diplomacy skill, but he had a charisma as well.
He was a rogue mastermind, in my opinion.
Ah, there
He
we
didn't
go.
have a lot of
Yeah.
practical, like, I'll stab you kind of thing, but he knows how to get into, like, he knows how to talk to people. He knows how to get to political negotiations. He knows the steps needed in order to get the places that he needs to, in order to cause more schemes to get more money or get more power, et cetera, yada yada.
Yeah, that's a perfect class. By the way, there's the main classes like a rogue, and then you have
Mhm.
subclasses, which he was speaking to, which is like mastermind, and then you have assassin. You have different kinds of rogues, right? So, in this case, or then you have different kinds of fighters.
Yeah.
So there's subclasses, and some of the classes have these. Actually, all of them have some sort of subclass, which is like a specialty of the archetype. So
Yep.
yeah. Anyway,
But yeah,
That leaves a
so
lot of room.
go ahead.
Sorry. I said that leaves a lot of room for a lot of the characters for this movie because he has a team of 5.
Technically 5, because the paladin
Well-
was part of the team one point.
Well, the original team was the 4, and then the Red Witch or Red Wizard
Oh, you're talking about that time.
hires them and then becomes part of the team. kinda.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
And then
with
the
the
time
with the
stop.
time stop. Yeah,
Yeah,
with a
that was
seriously
so
powerful
cool.
spell. Yeah.
When I saw that go off, I'm like, there's a really powerful wizard in presence here because that's a level 9 spell in Dungeons and Dragons. Time stop is an actual spell. Level 9 is the highest level that you can go into in a spell capacity. That's where wish resides and things like that. So when I saw time stop, I'm like, they're screwed.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it was accurate of like, well, unless you have someone that can counterspell it or dispel it, that's not inside the time stop, which I mean, technically the actual D&D manual has no radius. So it's even more powerful outside of the movie. But I respect what they did in the movie because if you showed what time stop is in the actual game of the tabletop role playing game, it would just blip and stuff would happen. And in movie wise, that would be very hard to do. And I loved the slow progression of the aerial effect, which gave it a more visceral. Oh God, we need to run.
I think that was a funny scene. So they're trying to get the tablet of
Reawakening.
Reawakening,
Yeah, to
Because he learned
save Aegon's wife, or I should
Mhm.
bring her back to life.
Resurrector. Yeah.
Go ahead,
because
Ryan.
he learned during his testimony of trying to get out of prison that his wife was killed by a red wizard.
Red cultist blade or something like that. It wasn't red wizard blade. It was.
They had a name, but I can't remember. It was hard
'Cause,
to read.
He is, greedy all of a sudden because he's in this group. What were they called? The group
The
of
Harpers.
Harper.
No,
And-
no, not that time. Because when his wife gets killed, he's a harper, so he's
Mhm.
doing good.
Right.
He's
Oh,
capturing
yeah,
the
yeah,
bad guys, and then after
But
they
he still
take
steals the gold.
revenge, I don't remember that part.
It
but-
was more since his wife died, he fell out of the Harper's Guild, which
Mhm.
was to help without asking for any compensation.
yes.
Oh.
But that
Okay.
didn't. So that led to a noble pathground of I am always poor, but I will always help the needy. But when he can't provide for his family, he can't even protect his wife. He fell out of it. Later we find out because of his own actions. That's why his wife died, because he wanted to provide for his own. So he started to take on money that no one would realize that is gone. So he took from the rich and he gave to the poor, very
Yeah.
Robin Hood like. But because of him taking from the cult of the Red Witch,
Red
had
Wizards. Red Wizards.
the Red
yeah.
Wizards, yeah. It had this rune that basically could track where it went so that they can get revenge, these cultists. And they took it out on his family because he wasn't there at the time.
No,
Uh,
don't steal from the Red Wizards.
Don't steal with the Red Wizards.
Just don't mess with the red wizard. Like that, you learn that through the movie. Like they're just extremely powerful wizards.
Hmm.
They're
and-
evil as hell.
They're evil. We're talking about liches. We're talking about demi-liches. We're talking about, oh, look, there's 100 people that just gathered. Let's kill them all and make one more lich. With this mist, super bad, makes you into like almost zombies level. Like we'll drain your soul and then raise you from the dead and make just hordes of armies, and we'll just cackle in the background with all our newfound power.
That's what their purpose is, right? Like in this movie, that's what they want to do. They want to make an army of liches, is like what you're saying.
Army
No,
of
no.
undead with one lich at top.
Yeah, they want to bring back the super bad. I can't remember his name.
Oh, that is Vecna.
Is that what it's based
Yeah,
off
I think so.
That is what it's based off
'Cause
of.
remember,
The undead in the mirror, yeah,
Oh.
that is Vecna. He is the undying god.
remember they
Oh.
named him on Stranger Things after that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it
That's
did.
right.
And they did the same thing with the first season too.
And technically, in season 1 of Vox Machina with Critical Role, Vecna was in there as well, and all that is now canon as well, with Vecna rising from mortal, going to lich, and then becoming a god through if I remember correctly, the ritual of seeding. and
Crazy.
achieved divinity by killing a lot of people, and basically just turning soul energy into his body in order to elevate himself.
Essentially, that's what the Red Wizards are doing
But
too. They're taking
he was
over.
banished
Mhm.
by canon standards. Now, some say banished by Vox Machina, which I believe is canon nowadays because of Wizards of the Coast. So I don't know if that's canon in this movie, but the point is he was banished from the realm of man, and that's why you see him in the reflections of mirrors saying, "Soon, soon, I'll be over back on the material plane to do whatever I want," because
Yeah.
there's no gods to say no.
Can we hear about movie number 2?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, it's coming, and I'm excited.
Where did we leave off of the? Oh
Came
yeah,
back to their family members and
Yeah, they escape. They go find out that Forge is the king of or Lord of Neverwinter,
there you go.
because I can't remember the original Lord's name, has fallen into a coma.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
Uh-huh.
quote unquote.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we get
Coma.
any information
Hey.
on what happened with
Well,
that guy.
A coma
At the
of
end.
convenience.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then they bring back the super. Oh, I guess. So he becomes Lord, and he was tasked with taking care of Edgin's daughter. I can't remember her name, but she, I think, was a rogue. Is what her.
Yeah.
She was sneaky. She would go into the little spots they couldn't get, and she could turn. They gave her the ability to turn invisible and stealthy. So I thought that was really cool.
That was cool.
It was heartwarming as well.
Yeah.
And also saddening as well because he left his child, his only family member, behind to potentially save a family member, but at the same time, the child doesn't know this mother figure because she
True.
already has a mother figure, which
And-
they explained at the end, which was beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
In my
'cause
opinion.
he goes on about like, not realizing that he is overlooking his daughter's needs for his needs. And yeah, it played all the way out to the end, like you were saying, and it was beautiful. But
Yeah, and it didn't feel like hammered into your
Yeah.
skull kind of thing.
Yeah.
it's very organic.
Mm.
And then, but
And-
it sucks for him is because she, after he comes to visit her, they find out that they're wanted, and she just doesn't really trust him anymore because she's kind of brainwashed by Forge.
Given a bunch of false information,
Mhm.
one-sidedly, being a noble, actually legitimately a noble child now, just adopted. But at the same time, if you have all the money, you're the noble. And yeah, it's just saddening to see the child like doesn't know who to trust, and it's not because of her own fault. It's just legitimately doesn't know who to trust because she's gained all this different information from many different directions from arguably all terrible people.
Yeah.
So like, were they in prison for 2 years?
Yes.
Something like that.
It was
Yeah.
2 years.
Really?
And a lot
It
happened
was
in 2 years.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
pretty wild. It's like, like he was able to infiltrate his way into that, which is insane. Oh, because he had a lot of money. after
And he had the support of the super powerful Red Wizard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
that
yeah, I
was
wanna-
disguising themselves all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Finger ice thing that he's like, oh well, can't drink that anymore because I know you're not alive.
That was pretty
Uh,
funny.
That was pretty good.
mhm.
Yeah, there's some.
I feel
good humor.
bad. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you.
Yeah, I feel bad
Yeah.
for the daughter because she's brainwashed, and then right after that happens, they're wanted men, so they kind of capture them, and Forge is just like kill them, like doesn't care about the daughter, because he's just gonna be like, oh, you're not gonna see him again, so just kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping a surface level of this is how I act in front of people, and behind I don't really care. Just be efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And then the escape scene is great. Yeah, he's just trying to cut a rope while Holga's just demolishing everybody. He's like, "We're doing it. We're doing it."
Oh, now they're in trouble. We got him now, and he's just trying to cut his rope on a fucking
oh, and the
round
beautiful
corner.
barbarian. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
she's just tossing men, crushing their armor. That was awesome.
Yes,
and
One
actually,
v six.
suddenly, if you actually watch the fight scene, you notice that they're all in full plate armor. And if you ever wore full plate armor, when you get hit, you might get knocked down, but that doesn't mean you're dead. So a lot of times you just get back up and you're like, ah, and then you get knocked back down, and you get back up and you get knocked back down, and you notice that she's not killing every person that she's knocking down, but they are just being rattled like a bunch
Yeah.
of shake weights, uh, which just makes it worse
could
for the guards.
I could see her doing this.
Yeah.
That's
So
what.
could I. Knew I was making a perfect joke in.
Well, yeah.
As always.
D&D.
But Holga's cool because she's a barbarian and she's just like extremely strong. Then they have the bard again, and then they have the sorcerer, which we forgot.
Well, they
'Cause
haven't
he-
got the sorcerer yet, right? They're,
No, they
Not
go
at this
to
time.
him. They go to him after they escape.
Yep. So they escape, and then they're like, we have to get the team back together.
Oh yeah, after Holga destroys everybody and he gets out, or she gets him out, then they go and build this team. And the sorcerer is like this nerdy little dude.
Justice William. No, it says Justice Smith is his name.
Yeah,
And I've hated him in every movie he's ever been in, but I really liked him in this movie.
He did good, and his character name is Simon Amore. Amore?
Simon Amore.
It's a half elf name, so it's like impossible to say. I would have to listen to it again in the movie. But I love how they put a sorcerer that is potentially much more powerful. Wild mage, by the way, if you haven't caught that, which is a subclass for a sorcerer, that was having self-conscious issues, which it directly impacted his magical capabilities, because sorcerers are nothing but charismatic people. They don't study their spells. They just like, I believe I can do this, and it happens. That's it.
maybe
So
I
if you have a guy that's like, I don't know if I can do this, well, guess what? His magic is going to portray that. And it's beautiful throughout the entire thing, especially with his dating life with the tiefling druid, that just showed his magical capabilities, and especially with that MacGuffin hat thing.
Yeah, that thing was cool. She did a really good job, which is so weird because I saw her the first time in Pennywise, the new one.
That's
She's like
not her.
yeah, it is.
Is it?
Well,
She's in
Positive.
What are we talking about?
the
Eternals. She's in
The druid.
Eternals.
Oh, the druid.
The actress.
She's in Eternals?
Mm-hmm. She plays another druid.
Oh,
She plays the kid.
druid.
Yeah. Or no, she's not a druid. That's Druig.
Yeah,
But
druid.
she plays like the little like leprechaun / elf girl.
she's also in it. She's Sophia Lills.
Huh.
And yeah,
I
she
hated
was
those
in that
movies, so I guess
Get
that makes
'em.
sense, but I don't remember.
Got it. But yeah, she's getting pretty popular.
But when they meet her, they think it's somebody else because they're thinking druid. So they're like, oh, okay, big burly, and then they're like, no, that's her. And at the time, she's like a owl.
She was a horse.
Owl?
She was an owl
Oh,
bear, is
or-
what she was, actually.
Well, she
Which-
started out as a horse, then
Started
turned
out
into
as a
an
horse.
owl.
Right.
Yeah.
That
That was
cool.
really cool. That actually caused a little bit of ruckus amongst the D&D community of the fact, hey, druids can't change into monstrosities because an owlbear is actually not a beast. A natural beast is horse, bear, goat,
Badger.
badger, those sorts of animals. So when and I come on, take artistic license and have fun with
And
it because I thought it was
Owlbears,
cool.
yeah, I thought it was beautiful in terms of, especially her non-casting druidic abilities, because druids are very powerful magical casters. But this one for the D&D movie, it was just nothing but wild shapes, just infinite amount of wild, or seemingly infinite amount of wild shapes, which made a great change scene in the castle later on in the movie.
That was awesome.
Yeah, especially with the armor growing into the armor from the mouse to
Oh,
the
that was
human.
cool.
That was brilliant, and apparently
That was
only
cool.
one scene. There was no cut. It was just she was already there, and they did kind of CGI her out of it, and then she just got it walked away. Anyway, but
she's this little girl carrying like
yeah,
200-pound
and
armor.
I thought it was brilliant. Of like it, like I can definitely see like a DM saying, "Oh, you just want to do simple wild magic kind of thing, just turn into a bunch of animals, and that be the animal nature is my weaponry and my capability of getting around and doing stuff that I shouldn't be able to do." And just removing all casting capabilities, or pretty much all casting capabilities. I'm like, I'm down for it. I'll put that in my game right now.
Yeah, that's
She was-
actually pretty cool.
Equivalent of Beast Boy.
Yeah,
Is what I
from
think.
DC.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what she was.
Now, level 20 of a druid.
That's when you can go.
I
true
believe you have
everything.
you have unlimited wild shape then, but you're also a hugely powerful magic user at that magic wielder at that point, because most of it is probably it's like 80 30, 87 80 30. There's some math for you. 80 20 is, if you're Path of the Moon, which is one of the subclasses of a druid, because there's different subclasses of different, a rogue has different subclasses, a fighter has different subclasses in D&D. So does a druid, and one of them is Path of the Moon, where you can become wild, you have wild shape, but usually it's only a couple a day, and it's only certain powerful creatures, and they're only beasts. But yeah, they played it up here with having all that, and I thought they balanced it real well of not having or having any other magic.
The problem is the moon. You turn into elementals.
That is true. That is
You
true.
know the thing from Fantastic Four? Yeah, you're fighting that thing.
Oh,
Yeah, and then there's a water elemental and then a fire elemental. The path of the moon is a little broken, especially when you get to 20th level, where you just become a god because no one can mathematically kill you. Because you can just infinite
Turn
wild
into
shapes
water.
into elementals with new hit points.
Level 20 is the theoretical maximum of a standard character can get to.
Uh,
Um,
That's when it must get really fun.
Oh yeah, that's when you're no longer fighting goblins, and that's when you're fighting demigods and avatars of gods,
'Cause-
and debating whether you should become a god yourself if the campaign is on that level.
Damn.
Yeah.
damn.
And
I
we're
mean, when
level-
you're at
Good.
9th level with time stop being in this movie, technically she could have gone the destructive route and been like meteor swarm, quite literally calling down meteors from the heavens and just destroying entire cityscapes.
Oh, we should talk about the sorcerer that's on their side, because
Yeah.
that ties into it, where he's just not very confident at all. But then you're saying that these he counters the time stop eventually.
Eventually,
Yeah.
yeah,
so-
which would be counterspell. Yeah, which is
when
actual.
he got his confidence is actually, if you noticed it.
When
So
he
he
punched
levels
his
up.
grandpa.
Himself. I feel like that he had probably one of the best character developments that was my favorite.
Yeah.
I liked him. I think he's my favorite character too.
he was like the main character for me. I don't know why. He had like the most character development.
You got that helmet, and then he got that. He just knew what that staff was, the portal staff.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was a fun thing.
That
Yeah.
was
The hither stick?
Hither tither. Yeah, that was really cool.
Hither, thither. Yeah, yeah.
They did a lot
Definitely-
of cool stuff with
Definitely
that.
not portal gun.
Yeah.
It kind of, that was a mind fuck of a little bit. Like, I don't know how I would use that personally, because I would just like probably accidentally kill myself. Just-
Getting an infinite loop.
Yeah.
Oh, that would make the best prisons. It's like,
Yeah.
well, we don't have rope, guys. What are we gonna do? Well, we can do this. Thunk thunk, and he's just falling infinitely while you take a long rest.
And
Yeah.
you just gain more and more speed, and then you die.
Well, you get a terminal
Yeah,
velocity, and
that's
you get stuck.
Yeah, it borderline torture.
Yeah, they had some pretty cool items.
Yeah, they had that staff, and then they got the helmet, and the helmet was like a super powerful, like ancient
Anti-magic.
anti-magic.
You do MacGuffin.
And then they did. It wasn't the item, but it was the mirror where they did they did the hither thither on the mirror to
Oh.
get inside the cart.
The painting. The painting you mean?
The painting, yeah.
Yes.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
That was so
really
clever.
cool.
I was like, I want to be playing that kind of game.
Mhm.
That's the kind of stuff that really imaginative players can come up with, and then if you got a D&D or DM who's equally as imaginative, he can allow that stuff to, develop into the story without breaking the mechanics of the rules of the game.
Ooh,
It's
this
awesome.
one-
So when they went on the journey to get that the helmet, do you guys know who Auntie Donna is? They're a comedy troupe out of Australia.
No.
No.
They're like you know the Workaholics.
Yep.
Yes.
They're essentially like Australia's version of that, but they were the voices of all the undead that they
Oh,
asked the questions.
That scene was great. All the dead where they asked, "Is that a question?" Yes. I wasn't talking to you.
And then he, at the end of it, leaves that one guy with one last question, just
Just-
infinite, just like,
oh,
someone asked me a question. And I was so hopeful that he would have eventually turned around. Wait a minute. Can I ask myself a question? I guess I can.
man.
Or if he showed up at the end of the movie in like a post credit and he's like
I
in
was
the
so
city, like hello, just walking around like somebody.
Did
Did you guys not
Everyone's
watch
running
the
away
special
from him, and
credits?
it's like,
No,
Why
I
is
didn't. I didn't see no end credit.
Yeah, there was an end credit with him.
oh, you.
They cuts to him, and
you,
he just
you failed. You rolled a 1.
Yeah, I did.
yeah, 'cause that is what. No, it doesn't go to the city, but it cuts to him. Hello, is anybody there? Someone, please, and then it cuts out.
Oh yeah, for context, they have this what was a spell?
It was a
that you
spell
think,
that-
Speak to dead.
speaks to the dead, and you have to ask them 4 questions, and then they go
5.
back to their slumber. 5 questions, and then they go back to their slumber. So they're trying to solve this puzzle by storytelling, basically the people that fought in this war.
Because
in the
this
past.
this helmet was supposed to be like this.
Focal point of the war.
Yeah, but it was not real. I can't think of the word. I'm drawing a blank. Like
Fairy tale.
I think at the time, because it was definitely there being handed from one person to another. I think whoever was attuned to it, or supposedly was supposed to attune to it, failed to attune to it.
mhm.
And it got ranned out because it's like a super powerful item. So you don't want to get into the enemy, and you're losing the war, so you're trying to deny assets, kind of thing.
You bring up a good point there, Nick, about attunement. There's actually what's called attunement slots, and this is to level set certain, at least what I think, it's to level set certain magic items that you can't stack too many common abilities, and you can only have up to 3 unless you have some special thing that'll give you an extra one.
Artificers.
Attunement slots. So depending on the magic item, it'll require an attunement slot where you have to actually mentally attune to the item, a ring or bracers or helmet or whatever it is, to use its powers. But usually the powers are bound to the fact that you are attuning, meaning they have some sort of mental capacity to it. So bracers of defense, I don't think are attunement.
They are.
They are. Those are. Oh, those are
Yeah.
as well because they make you. They actually move your arms and
No,
mentally
well,
move your arms
That was
to
can be,
block
but
arrows. things
the
like that.
base description is they gave you +2 to your AC if you're not wearing armor or not or a shield. So yeah, you could
Oh,
treat it like
welcome.
Wonder World, Wonder Woman kind of situation where you're blocking it with your thing, or you can also treat it like it literally puts a force field around you, or it possesses you like a puppeteer kind of situation, and it just like every time there's danger, it just moves you out of the way.
So in the movie, that's what they were doing. And for me, it didn't even blink an eye. But I was realizing that now I realize through this discussion, is that yeah, he was talking about dealing with the helmet, and he's trying to attune to it, and it's
Mhm.
not an instantaneous thing. It takes like usually overnight to attune to an item within the game. So it was very canon in that regard what they were trying to do here. Normally, there's usually almost always a success, but apparently this particular one had to roll for success, if you will.
Or
Oh,
it was slightly intelligent.
I
There
love
are
that.
intelligent items in D&D. Maybe this one had a built-in some sort of like only those that are chosen to pass kind of situation. Thus, punch the grandpa in the face.
You rolled a 20 there.
Yeah.
You know.
No,
So-
I love how they did that in the movie, where it's like, the bard got lucky a lot of the times, or he used his charisma to get past people, or yeah, it was just neat, like seeing that, like picking at it, like, oh yeah, like he must have done this to get that far in the movie. When the statue falls, or
Oh,
it like it goes right over his head and he doesn't die. It's like that was luck, right?
kind of. It's
Yeah.
didn't the girl turn it into stone, or someone turn it into make it
She hit
unalive?
She hit the witch.
Oh yeah.
Or the wizard.
Oh,
Sorry.
this was the final fight, is what you're referring to.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
There
like,
you go.
which fight? Which statue?
Yeah, because she like turned the statue into like a real dragon, and then it.
Oh yeah, it's essentially a golem dragon is
Yeah.
what she created instantaneously, and I mean that's powerful magic. You usually can't do that, but at the same time, if you're a DM running a game and like I need someone to help this lady, or she's gonna get ganked, because again she's only one person, and there's four people that are just gonna go up to, as they did after taking care of the golem, to just beat her over the head with the loot.
Yeah, and what you guys are talking about is some of the spells take concentration, and she got hit with that. I don't know what she got hit with, but her concentration broke, and that her spell died.
Maybe it was like some sort of animated object. Maybe there are a couple of spells that literally animate like smaller things. Maybe it was like a greater power version of that. Still well done in terms of like animating a dragon so that it can fight around and being stone, so most things can't hurt it. But
This is where I think the movie did so well was was not forcing these things in your face. You didn't have to know D&D to appreciate what was going on. The story was there, the character development was there without having you be told this is Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
it was
cool.
part of the story. And speaking of dragons, what about the fat dragon?
Oh,
I want a plushie.
Yes.
I want a full body plushie
Sam,
of
I need it
that.
now.
That was a really good scene. Like,
Yeah.
like, well, that's one pudgy dragon.
Yeah. I love how they explain it too. Like he's been eating good. Like,
And actually, I did some deep diving on like, was that a legitimate like canon thing? And he does exist.
Yeah,
already.
he's a real.
Yeah, he's a real
character.
dragon. A real canon dragon that's actually in the deep dark of the Underdark worlds.
just fat, huh?
Yeah, well, actually, he's the one that lights the fires for the forges for the Durgar, which are the dark versions of the dwarves. They hate each other, but dragon fire is actually better than lava, because dragon fire does more damage on a statistical level and is more consistent damage than lava. So they need specifically a red dragon, an adult red dragon, to constantly light the fires. But the problem is, red dragons are very destructive forces of you will now work for me kind of people, because they respect strength, they're very vain, and they're very greedy. So
The dragon was so fat that he had a hard time blowing fire.
yes,
Oh, I was like, yeah, he blew like green slime.
Yeah, it was like
it was
acid.
more like a gas that
Yeah.
ignited with the passing lava that was
Yeah.
going around, like almost like he had a pneumonia version of
And there
dragon.
was there was sparks going on in his throat too.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it
Where it
was.
was like where it was like to ignite the gases. Yeah.
Yeah, like dragon asthma.
I mean, when you're that size and don't exercise a lot, sometimes you gotta get some support.
The rolling down.
Yeah, it's so
Or
funny.
you just slid down on his belly, just
Just open his mouth.
The end result, reason why he was so fat is because he was given so much money by these Durgar that were also psychically making him say, you like your job, because they have psychic people that basically brainwash him and basically say, don't overthrow our government. He had all this money and he lived a sedentary life since hatching. So he never had to hunt for food. He never had to go out and hunt for mates. He always had everything that he wanted, and he had an absurd a pile of loot that it was just, pavement for him. And he just, grew fat because of it. So
Cool.
I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
This
I
is
forgot-
awesome.
I totally forgot about that. But that was one of it was a really good scene with that fat dragon chasing them all.
This movie was funny. It had its moments.
It was
I
a
wouldn't
really
say like Chris Pine wasn't that funny for some reason. I thought the side characters were awesome.
The side characters were awesome. I loved the ex-husband, ex-boyfriend of the barbarian, because of just the implication of Big Mama.
Big Mama.
Yeah.
Love Big Mouth.
And it's just, I mean, they didn't like stab at like, oh, it's a joke relationship. No, it was a very real relationship that actually had deep layers of, we had to split up because you went to jail and I haven't seen you in 2-3 years, and we
And I have mountain climbing needs.
Yeah. Need snoo snoo.
You learn that Holgan, what's her
Olga.
name?
Olga.
Sorry, the
It's not
barbarian.
the first time.
She has. Was it a husband or just a boyfriend?
I think
It
it
was
was a
her husband.
boyfriend. Because
Yeah,
if it was a husband, I think it would be a little bit more.
yeah.
No,
Really
because
things.
there's a line he says he wrote her a note saying, "I am no longer your husband."
Oh.
That was it.
Yeah,
The
Ooh.
breakup note.
because when they escape, she's all excited to go see him, and Chris Pine's character's like, "Are you sure?" So I'm pretty sure he sent you a letter that said he's no longer your husband. Do you really want to do this?
Right.
Yeah, and she
Then
goes
he's-
in there and realizes that he has another.
He's moved on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
He's doing
Bigger.
okay. But the amount of respect between one another was well portrayed.
Yeah, she didn't.
Even though
freak
they
out
didn't
or
have to
anything.
say it. Yeah.
She could have just fought that bigger lady.
That would have
Oh,
been
yeah,
a
so-
cool fight.
Her ex-husband is a halfling, so he's been like, going to town on this big ass barbarian, which is so sick. I love it.
Yeah.
Both hands like this. Great.
That's
your next character, eh?
Roy's dream.
Yeah, I guess so. That would be my character, a little halfling that has a fetish. Barbarians.
Right, wife.
Constantly making constitution checks. But
Oh, yeah.
I
it
feel
was still a very moving moment of like, yes, we're no longer together, but that doesn't mean we have to hate each other kind of situation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he still wants what's best for her, but it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
no longer with him.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
well done in the movie proportions of storytelling of like, just well done, golf clap kind of situation.
And to have that staff be a walking staff for him
Oh,
when it's really a rod in a magic item sense. It was a rod, and then being the hither nither,
Mm.
hither
hither tither.
hither nit- hither nither, hither thither, hither thither.
Definitely not
Yeah.
Portal Gun.
Yeah, but
Hither thither, definitely not portal gun. There was a cool magic item and also a cool way to disguise it. So it was way cool they brought it in.
Yeah, because they thought it was a walking sticks, and then the sorcerer was like, "Where'd you get this?" And then he just twisted it, and it turned into that sweet staff. But I feel like they did such a good job on this movie because you don't have to know anything about Dungeons and Dragons to enjoy it. And if you guys are super into Dungeons and Dragons like you guys, you could still enjoy it without nitpicking it to where you just don't enjoy it. And the story, the storytelling, because they have like plenty of comedy, but then there's also the heartfelt stuff, and I feel like they put everything you needed into that movie perfectly, and it didn't drag on in any part. Like the whole thing was fun.
And it was just chaotic enough, but not too chaotic
Yeah.
enough to depict of this was a story of a tabletop game kind of situation, if that
Yeah, it
makes
had-
sense.
Yeah, it had the opportunity to be potentially dry, but it wasn't. It was great.
But
Because they didn't try to shoe it into the Dungeons and Dragons game.
well, I
You know,
really, hope
they were like, no, we're making a movie. It's different.
really hope they do like a spin-off series of this movie. I think that would be a good idea. Just
this opened up a bunch of avenues. Since this did well, and now Wizard of the Coast saw that it did well, bunch of companies are going to be like, well, hey, there's money in this.
Yeah,
And they would be
give me
right. So there's going to be a lot more coming, especially after the Critical Role and then the Stranger Things, and then now this, and then there was another thing that's coming out, and then the game
And
Boulder
then there's
Gate.
Together We Roll, and
Together
yeah.
we roll. Don't forget about that. Check
Yeah,
that out
if
on
anything, it's
YouTube.
going to be our feet that gets more attention than anything else.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. We have 5 cameras. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, 6. There's one on the feet cam. Yeah.
Yep. So, but on that topic of like many people, like you don't need to be a dungeon master or a nerd or anything. It's just an enjoyable movie all around, which is awesome. And I was rooting so well for this movie to either A, be laughably bad, or just overall good. And I'm happy to say that I'm pleasantly surprised with this movie just being the way it is, to be respectable for the D&D community and just be a respectable movie all around in general, and being a good laugh too.
Yeah.
So, if you're not a nerd, you can still watch this. You might be nerdy afterwards, and don't worry, we are Legion. We will accept you. But you don't. It's a good movie.
Yeah, go
If
and
you want to
watch it.
laugh, especially with your kids, it's a good movie for that, because they'll laugh with you.
What are we at right now in runtime?
Hour.
Okay, so we should just should we rate it?
I mean, if you guys have any more to say about it, I'm fine with
just-
going.
Oh, constantly.
One
But,
more
you know,
thing,
we got
Easter
time.
egg.
Oh yeah, go ahead, hit us with the Easter eggs.
I got one Easter egg, which is like
Oh.
huge. That was like that was the, it's the 80s cartoon Dungeons and Dragons
Yes.
characters
Oh, right.
that were brought to life during the maze arena combat thing, and that was so much fun. There was the sad part is I now have to go watch this again because and look for the Easter eggs, because there's got to be dozens that I didn't catch. And
Guaranteed.
yeah, that one
Yeah.
was easy and obvious for most of us, and yeah, they looked the part perfect too.
They
did.
do.
If you have
There's
Paramount
actually-
Plus, it's on there for free.
Oh,
Nice.
I want to touch on the choreography of the fight scenes, because I really enjoyed the fight scenes. It made me think of Avengers when they're just like teaming up on the bad guy, and they're just taking turns using their abilities. I was like, that was fucking cool.
It doesn't matter how evil and how awesome you are. If there's a team of 5 or 4, they'll still gank you because you're only one person.
Yeah, you got blind spots.
Yeah.
it did feel as like, yeah, we were doing a Dungeons and Dragon combat, or I guess the other way you could say it is that Dungeons and Dragons can be done so well that you can be like watching a movie.
Yeah,
Because that's what I feel like you're visualizing those kind of things when we're all playing, and we're doing 1 rounds. We realize that we just took out that guy in 18 seconds.
But in tabletop time, it took 3 hours.
yeah.
And
Druid got her licks in, and I thought that part was hilarious, where she's the owl bear.
Oh,
Mhm.
just
Just,
going
like,
to town.
Her head.
Oh, that was so funny.
This Hulk smashes her.
Yeah.
Yep. And I do have to say one thing. I will be adding, because of the awesome choreograph when she before the final battle, when she was running around the castle, trying to get away from the Red Wish and the rest of the guards, as she's transforming from animal to person to into the armor, walking away, and then transforming again
That was
into
cool.
other animals to get out of the castle. Because of that awesome choreograph, I will be adding in every castle random guards chasing rodents throughout the building for security reasons, because you
Probably
never know,
never
it might be a
know.
druid or a demon shape-shipped into something.
He had a cat. A ton of cats.
A ton of cat. You don't know if the cat is real. It could be it could be a cat that's sentient, that knows how to talk to demons.
Or
Tag it out.
that one race that is a cat.
Khajiit.
To
No.
be,
Oh,
to be, oh,
oh.
and yeah, that's right. That was where all there was no the digital effects that they didn't have to do, or they could have done, but they didn't.
It was all
For-
practical.
practical
Majority
for the-
practical.
It was
Oh.
so awesome. And
I love
so,
the
so
Dragonborn.
Yeah, they,
Sorry, I overtalked you, but I'm just
Dragonborn
love.
was cool. Yeah, all that was practical. It's so cool.
Yeah.
We did an
Push-
episode about practical effects You guys should check that one out. It's pretty good.
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
The Thing.
we'll do.
John
Yeah.
Carpenter's The Thing was the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's that whole movie's just all practical effects, so he just covered like tons of different practical effects through movies and stuff. And but yeah, practical effects. I'm glad they're still using them because sometimes they just skip over them and everything's CGI, and you could tell it's kind of.
We definitely went through that movie period of just CGI city, and I'm glad they're coming through with this
Definitely.
like
Yeah.
you can
Balancing
touch
it.
it kind of effect.
Oh, and another part with the druid that was really cool is that the gel, the acid gel.
Ah, the gelatinous cube.
Yeah, they jump into it, and then she transforms into a snake and like goes through her own silhouette outside to escape. I thought that was really smart and cool.
That was
Very
really
clever.
cool.
It was very well done and visually stunning. I think that was like the most CGI in one like scene. I think that was like the peak CGI for the whole
Besides
thing.
the dragon.
Oh,
Well, yeah, I mean,
You never know. It
you
could be a
never
real
know.
dragon.
It might be a real rolling dragon.
Yeah. Freaking jerk.
And then
Sorry.
when they were
Yeah,
opening
you should be. They
the-
had a name.
the 80s Dungeon Dragon guys, when they were opening the chest, I was like, oh, I was hoping one of those would be a mimic. And then next thing you know, the next chest they opened was a mimic. That was cool.
Yeah, I think everyone who knows Dungeons and Dragons was like, do it,
Yeah.
do it.
You
Yes.
have to. You have to.
Oh, hey, question. What was that Black Panther thing?
A displacer beast.
There you go.
And they did a beautiful job of having that particular beast do exactly what it does. That was pretty as canon as you can get, I think. What do you think, Nick?
I wouldn't say canon, but I like the expansion of it because the thing about Displacer Beast, yes, in the D&D lore of Wizard of the Coast, hey, anyway,
Speaking of Baxi,
Yeah.
Cult of
is
Baxies.
that they actually technically blur with this image because they put the same image on themselves, and it's registered, and it comes from their unique style of skin, not being on the material plane all the time. But I like what they did on that. It projects a different image from like somewhere else, so that it's able to hunt like this. And I love that idea. And Displacer Beasts, they mutate all the time, and it's actually in the lore and stuff like that. So it's completely feasible that this mutated Displacer piece that's actually from the Shadowfell, because that's where they're intended land, that's where they've been bred and everything to hunt other things. But anyway, exist, especially if you get people that have Displacer beasts and just bred them for specific traits, very much like dogs. And just like if you have a bunch of rich people, they get a bunch of animals of fantasy proportions, start breeding a bunch of things, and like I want specific traits for specific creatures, and let's see what happens.
I thought
It's
that
like-
was really cool. Like, it was very well done, and and being in a labyrinth with that thing would.
Oh God. I mean, the barbarian would do okay because of the just fisticuffs and strength, but it would still be nasty. Oh
Everything's pretty scary.
yeah.
But they end because we have to obviously in the movie is they end up killing the Red Witch, right? Or capturing
Wizard.
her. Wizard. Yeah, sorry.
Was she a lich, actually? Was she actually specifically seen as a lich? Was
No,
she ever...
she was like the number, like the Lich is like first right hand man.
So, because she was definitely, like, she showed lich properties. But if she was actually a lich, she's not dead because they didn't destroy her phylactery. Think about liches. They have this thing called a phylactery that when you kill their physical form, their soul goes to it. And then in about a month or so, depending on circumstance, they create a new body.
Well, we'll see a
And
number
they come
two,
back out.
hopefully, if they make a number
Yeah,
two. We'll see what
possible.
happens.
Yeah.
So-
It's very possible that they will have that as an out, not an out, but as an opportunity.
Like, it's possible that she's no longer the big bad, but definitely oh yeah, this lady don't like me and she has a personal vendetta against me.
It's got an ego.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they destroy her. They get his daughter back. They keep his promise that he keeps to the other druid or the
paladin.
Paladin, sorry.
They Robin Hood that bitch and give all the gold to the city.
That was
Beautiful
cool.
use of portals.
Yeah, that was cool. And then they, what's his name? Forge. He gets outwitted by them, and he gets exposed basically. And they take his daughter back, and then they have a happy ending.
Yeah, and
Oh, yeah.
there was the last piece of that happy ending was where the bard hero Edgin, right? Edgin,
Yep,
am I saying
yep.
right? Edgin realizes that his daughter's mother is really the one who has been acting in that part for the majority of his daughter's life, and
That's right, 'cause
brings
Holga
her back.
dies.
Brings her back. Holga dies, and he brings her back, knowing that he'll never be able to bring his wife back. So, but he now gives a mom to his daughter because he could bring back his wife, but it wouldn't be his daughter's mom, right? His
Yep.
daughter, it would be selfish for him, and his daughter wouldn't get the reward that he would. So he gave up his reward for his daughter, and so he did a very noble thing there. And the way they exposed that in the story element of the visuals was really cool. It was right there in front of me, but then suddenly I'm watching the visuals, I'm like, of course that's her mother,
Yeah.
even though it's not the blood mother. My grandfather years ago passed away, and it was some time thereafter that I learned that my grandfather wasn't actually my blood grandfather. But I always said, it doesn't matter. He performed the role.
Yeah.
I grew up, he was my grandfather. And I got, and I was an adult, he was my grandfather. And until after he passed, I learned that he actually wasn't my blood grandfather. But I'm like, it doesn't matter that he was my grandfather. He did the job.
Yeah.
So, and this is what I personally connected with, that was when they were doing that there.
I'm glad we didn't skip over that and you remembered that, because that was
that's cool.
really good part.
I didn't see the part where she got stabbed though. It just kind
She
of
gets.
It was off scene. It was off camera, I think.
No, I think they show it because Simon can't fix it because it's a red wizard's.
Oh yeah,
magic,
she gets
and-
stabbed by the wand.
By the but I'm talking about the actual stabbing moment.
Yeah.
They didn't show the actual stabbing moment.
Oh yeah.
They showed it pulling out of her body and saying that basically this is not good.
just not something you usually do, right? Like,
Yeah, don't pull it out.
you get stabbed, don't pull it out until you're at the hospital.
I mean,
There's no hospital.
yes, but when you're in the adrenaline moment and you're talking about the super soldiers that are barbarians,
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened with Steve Irwin, and he knows animals.
Check this guy out.
Yeah, but
You remember that guy?
Barbarian? Oh, is that Conan?
Yeah,
there you go.
Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
What would you guys rate it on the potato meter, 1 to 100?
ooh,
1 to 100?
Yeah,
73%.
that's pretty good for coming from you.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. It was fun.
yeah, I was gonna do 78. Is that it's just good all around. It's not utterly amazing, but just I'd happily watch that again. 78.
I'll give it a 80.
I would.
When I want a relaxing romp.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give it 80 because I was not bored one bit, and I'll go back and watch it again. And I wish I watched it in theaters.
Yeah.
You idiot.
I know. I seen the preview, and I was like, it's okay. And then, yeah, I'm glad. I was gonna watch it when it came out for free, which was a month later. Not even a month later.
Yeah. What about you two?
I'm going 83. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's good.
That's why I watched it multiple times this week.
Nick?
I would have to go a solid 85 myself because the level of hurdles that they would have to that they had to jump through to make a D&D movie that no one else did except for one other time in the 19.
In 2000.
Oh, was it 2000? Wow, that's a bad 2000 flick.
Yeah, it was
But the
2000.
point is,
It was a bad
everyone
2000.
it took a lot for because when you make a movie, when you make a scene, you're not saying it to the people that you're selling it to. You're selling it to the board of directors.
Yeah.
Which is completely different. And in order to make this happen in the way they did, the amount of loops they had to jump through in order to make this happen, and still coming out with a decent D&D movie that pretty much everyone can love, with a decent story.
And the D&D community would have, being very passionate about
Oh,
their
yeah.
hobby, would have thrown out, would have brought their own red dragons to burn it down, and no one did, because it was a solid film. So
Yeah. And I hope I'm not being biased in this, because I literally grew up with D&D, but I would be one of those people that would be with a pitchfork and some, not so subtle fire flamethrowers to certain communities if it was completely terrible. Now, I would not destroy property. I do not condone destruction of property. This is all pretend. All right.
I'm a barbarian. I destroy everything.
So
you're more like a dwarf.
Hey, you don't tell me what I am.
Cool. So hey guys,
85.
85, cool. So curious if you guys want to do any character work.
Yeah, we I kind of built a character from what Travis was saying.
I don't know how your normal show goes there, but I don't want to make sure that your audience goes, oh cool, they rated the film, let me stop, because there's a surprise ending here.
No, we do movie, and then the segment will be whatever. There's just a random segment at the end if it's like versus, cool. Would you rather, stuff like that. So this would just be our segment.
Cool. Okay. Sweet.
All right.
Who would like to go first?
Travis is already pulling his up.
Yeah, I think he's touching his wiener, actually.
I'm doing both.
Don't roll a 1.
I need a 1.
Ooh, he's got a backlight too.
All right. So
I guess do you guys want to open up on what we're doing, or do you want us to explain?
Yep. So what I figured we would do is just make some characters just as basic as possible. So I had us three create a character, name, race, class, a whole backstory, and then we would just roll for the basic stats.
Okay.
Cool. And then the last thing we'll do is probably assign some hit points, right? Which will be how meaty they are.
Ooh, we should just do penis size again.
There's a legitimate sex Dungeons and Dragons system out there. I've heard of it. I read a little bit, and it is. I mean, if that's your boat, that's your boat. But I'm not on it.
It's up to these guys. I'm down.
No, I don't want to do penis size.
We might do foot sizes,
because he's only got D6 there. He doesn't want to roll anything.
I got a D. I have just a 1.
Just one single die. Goodbye.
So I pulled up a screen of Travis' character, so if people are watching on YouTube, they could get a visual.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
So mine is Artorius Orsino.
Cool.
He is a Beast-Hide Shifter Ranger.
Ooh.
And I made him a couple nicknames: the Bear Prince, the Banished Prince, Kinslayer, and the Bear Cub of Waterdeep.
That's the best one right
Bear
there.
Cub of Waterdeep. I love it.
I tried to tie in actual places just so it felt cooler.
Yeah.
I have no idea if
my God.
What?
Keep going.
Oh, So here's his backstory. It's Artorius was born under a full moon to a princess and an unknown father. When the midwife pulled the baby out, she gave a small gasp because the baby had an unnatural amount of hair for a newborn and a strange-looking nose, almost like a bear cub. Hence the Bear Cub of Waterdeep. See what I did there? Tying it all together.
Whoa.
The midwife refused to show the princess the baby, afraid that the princess would call her a witch or say she had stolen her baby. But the princess insisted, and the midwife finally relented. And when the princess looked upon the baby's face, she said, "He looks just like his father." Artorias aged quickly. By the age of 8, he looked as if he was already a young man. Which I looked into the backstory of this race, and they age quick. By the age of 12, they are full-grown men. So,
Boy,
that's
they
where
eat
that
a
came
lot.
from.
A lot of bear milk.
One evening, when Artorias returned home from his sword fighting lessons, he heard a blood-curdling scream come from the tower he lived in with his mother. So he sprinted up the stairs and found his mother dead on the floor, covered in blood, with what appeared to be a man, but also like an animal, almost like himself. The man looked at Artorias and said, you do look like your father," and then leapt out the window. Just then the king and his guards arrived and saw the boy standing over his daughter, covered in blood, and ordered his men to capture his grandson and throw him in the dungeons. The king had never liked or trusted the boy. He felt his grandson was a slight on his legacy due to his appearance. So when the strange, bestial man had approached him that night so long ago while he was deep in his cups and had told him he could take care of his problem, he accepted, not knowing what it would cost him. As the guards surrounded Artorias, he lashed out and killed the nearest one and ran for the door. With his heart racing and full of adrenaline, his senses sharpened and his strength and speed were like never before. Before he knew it, he had fled the castle and found he had crossed the river Desarin and was deep within the Ardeep forest. In that moment, he knew he'd never be able to return to the castle, and he vowed to find the man responsible for his mother's death. How had that man known who he was, and how he knew his father? Was his father still alive? Was he like Artorias, some sort of human-beast hybrid? These were the things he ventured to find out. And that's it.
Okay.
Please.
That's, you got beginning, middle, and then you have ending opportunities as part of your driving force of your character. So I thought, yeah, that's cool. Good
So
job.
I do have a question about the mental age when you leave, because you grew up physically
It doesn't
very
mention
fast,
that.
which like any playmate would, I feel very bad for, because if you're by the age of 8, you're old, like you're very very big for the age of 8. Did you like continue to grow at that speed along with your mental space, or was it one of those situations of you're a mental child but you have to grow faster mentally because you're growing so fast kind of situation?
It doesn't say in the
Well, I know, but it's just like
description.
let's think about the social structure of this.
but I was going off because he was raised as a a noble, so they have to
Yeah.
grow up
I love that.
mentally faster.
Yeah, I love the idea of a noble barbarian. That I love.
Yeah,
That
and
I love.
he's doing a ranger as his class too, which
Yeah.
is
Oh,
interesting.
sorry, I saw the image. I'm like, oh, barbarian. It's like
No,
apparently
yeah,
I don't know how to read.
So in the Beast Hide, those characters are bear or boar-like, and I went with a bear.
Yeah. Okay, so how should we start with your stats?
You'll just read yours and then we'll roll.
Oh, okay. Mine is very simple, because we said very simple. So
I told you,
And
I was
this
going balls
is
deep.
how it goes. It's like not everyone is going to have a fully written out thing. Some will just have PowerPoints, and that's
Yeah.
perfectly okay.
I was thinking of little silly things. I was Rog. I don't
Rog.
even have a last name, just Rog.
Just Rog.
the
Rog is
orc,
good.
the orc barbarian. Born a bastard to the strongest mother in the tribe. Champion chicken wing eater. Tried to pan at magic, but quickly realized Rog can't read. Only responds with grunts and growls. Rog knows what's right and wrong and has a good moral compass and judge of character, but his intelligence is extremely low because Rog spent time, most of the time, training muscles and toughness. Doesn't use his weapons, just hands and feet, and has a trusty pet bearded dragon named Yoshi, which I have in real life. And that's about it. And I'm Rog.
Rog.
Welcome aboard, Rog.
Thanks.
Rog the just Rog.
Just
Just wrong.
just wrong.
Are you a
Just wrong.
human? You're a human, right? You said
Oak. Oh, orc.
Orc. Yeah.
You're an oak.
Oak. Big tree.
or a half orc.
Or half orc.
Because
Yeah.
and actually, I'm curious what class you might be.
Oh,
Which would be-
barbarian.
Oh, barbarian. Okay, cool.
Because hands and feet. Just beating people up.
Hey,
That's
monks,
it?
monks do it all the time.
Yeah, so I could see literally some feats going on when you hit like level 4, where you can get a feat to have certain special abilities with, where you can actually leverage the hands and feet backstory concept.
Awesome. Rock.
And then
Another stream.
my character is Mugen. His nicknames was the Green Genocide, Ninja of the Mist, the
Ooh.
Treetop Shadows. His race is Grung. Class Shinobi. And then what I was doing is I read about the race Grung and just wrote everything based on Grung. So Mugen is an exile of the Grung race. Born as all Grungs, a brownish green color. Reaching adulthood, Mugen stayed his green color, making him the lowest caste of color. Mugen did grunt work and was bullied by the blue, purple, and even red Grungs. He would go on to try everything from ritual magic to herbal treatments to try and be a different color to break into a higher echelon of their society, but to no avail. He knew he would never be an elite red or a royal gold, but he was tired of the ways that the Grungs enslaved others with their poison and treated the green Grungs. When it has nothing to do with their choice or character, he decided to do work as an orange choice of character. He decided to do work as an orange Grug and was punished severely and jailed. Mugen taught himself warrior techniques watching orange Grungs practice from his cell, and he would teach himself ninjutsu / spells from the red Grungs, reading their scrolls aloud. He plotted his escape, and when the time was right, he pounced, overthrowing the guards with fighting techniques and weak water prison. The weak water prison. Mugen was exiled and trained until he was strong enough to face the pools and treetops of Grungs he so hated. Mugen plan is to take back the treetops and free all the poisoned slaves. He did just that, ripping through anyone that stood in his way despite their ranking and color. Mugen was had almost complete genocide and liberation of the tribe before giving the key to the treetop palace to the slaves and remaining green Grungs. As he jumped on the back of his beetle and disappeared into the mist. Word spread quickly what Mugen did and was exiled from contact and entrance of all Grung territory, and all talk of Mugen was silenced so that there would not to have another Grung try. But the legend of the green Grung, of orange tenacity and grit, and red's wisdom and magic was unheard of.
Cool.
Seems very
Pretty colorful backstories from everybody. This is
Mm-hmm.
pretty impressive. My wife is a longtime author. She's a historical author. She's a modern author, and she's doing a lot of her most recent stuff is getting into everything from young adult books to well, shoot, I got to be careful. I can't say too much.
Pointed to her
There's-
website. That's the
There's
she kept saying her website.
there's potential for things that are going out on series and things like that are
Too
on
much.
the paid channels right now. So, any case,
That's
if
really
you
cool.
if you go out to marywine.com,
Mary Wine.
MaryWine, Marywine, MaryWine.com, you'll see all of her historical stuff there. There's a link to her modern stuff, and she's got about 50 or so books out, a lot of historical romance and things like that. So if folks like that, and then for Together We Roll, that's youtube.com/Together We Roll. You can also find us out on Facebook, and please like and subscribe us there. We have a Patreon as well. If you want to help us put more fun stuff on the screen, we'd love appreciate your support there. So look us up again, Together We Roll on Patreon, just patreon.com, and then search us up Together We Roll. And check out all our playlists at our sites, because on the YouTube channel we've got tons of content outside of our normal campaign as well. So you'll find things like the 20-minute video of us unboxing that amazing table we use. You'll see a lot of stories and stuff about our maps that we've done in different episodes. We do 3 or 4 minute videos on the behind the scenes of maps and things like that. So check out the playlist as well. And lastly, man, it's been a great joy playing with Bad Potatoes here. This has been a really, really slick, fun time, and you guys are great, and look forward to playing with you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
appreciate you
guys.
coming on.
Appreciate
All right,
it.
you guys got
Thank you guys
your
for-
go for it.
All right. Remember, everyone, I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin, former's roommate.
What is that from?
Oh, come
Spaceballs.
on. Oh my God, you just lost some nerd points, buddy.
Spaceballs.
Oh, Spaceballs. Oh,
Yes.
Good one.
I like the. You comb the desert. He's like, we've been combing. I ain't found shit.
Hey, about that. We've been jammed.
Yeah,
And then the jam's coming
Jam.
down.
I got machete don't text. And that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Who's next?
I'll
That's
go.
a nice boulder. Shrek.
I like that boulder.
All right. Instead of the mahi mahi, may I just get one mahi? Because I'm not that hungry.
Stupid.
Where's that from?
The house bunny.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
that's a good movie.
Good reach for that one.
Gonna drop off some lumber.
That's a good one.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Oh, we know that one. That dodgeball.
Yeah. Second one coming out.
All right, Together We Roll. YouTube, check it out. Thank you guys.
Yeah, ROLE.
RLE.
All
Been a
right.
pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Hey.